will find a courage called fearlessness. Such a fearless fighter is truly what we call the truth warrior. And for him, there is no boundary. And for such a truth warrior, there is no fear. And all of us are in process of becoming such a truth warrior. We are willing to face any suffering. Any struggle is no big for us. And this is a courage the truth warrior should bear with. I am myself a small activist. I am trying to gain that power. And it has been for me half of my life up to now. I am now 32. I have finished half of my life in education and half of my life as an activist. And in this process, it is through this process that I am gaining these experiences. I have committed now that I will fight for the freedom of Tibet, and no matter what happens to me personally, I will fight. And I've made this promise. I have taken this pledge that this red band that I'm wearing on my forehead, I say that until Tibet is free, I will not take this off. And I will fight every day. And this is a promise that I'm keeping to myself. And this is a personal belief. It's a personal promise that I made for myself. I don't have to make a promise to anybody else. This is the conviction that I found in myself as an activist. All of us activists in our own community, in our own society, in our own small little society. In that society, if you can truly fight for peace and create and help create and maintain that peace, this is what I think, what usually people say, think globally, act locally. So that we could maintain that peace in our own community. There's no world peace, there's no one work which is called world peace. We create peace in our own society and fight against injustices without fear. And these, again and again, what comes to my mind, that this is a fight. People talk about modernity. If people want to be modern, I think modernization means to modernize one's own culture. If you want to modernize your culture. You don't need to copy Western culture and then say, I am modern. Such a copy, I always call, it's a photocopy. Photocopying Western culture doesn't mean modernity. It's a very poor attempt to call yourself modern. One needs to study one's own traditional culture. And for Tibetans, we also have a long history and culture. And this is something we all need to study. Only after a thorough study of one's own culture, religion, can we modernize our tradition and culture. We can adapt, we can modernize our tradition and culture and make it relevant to modern times so that the younger generation can take part in it, can enjoy this. And this is how truly we can be modern. In this attempt, I think there are a lot of miscommunications that are happening, and because we could not, one, respect our own tradition and culture, because we could not now make our tradition relevant to modern times, this is how the Western power-oriented invested interests are taking advantage, and then they impose Western ideas and ideologies on Asian and African people. They are finding us weak because we ourselves have not really looked into our own tradition and culture. 21st century is a time when we need to go back to our tradition and culture, study that, and then make it relevant to modern times. Then we will truly be strong and nobody can colonize our mind. And this is exactly happening in Tibet today. China has all the military power, economic power, political power. None of the countries in the world today are supporting the Tibetan cause because they have direct economic benefit. But people of the world, individually, organizations, people, organizations like SIO stand with Tibet because there is truth. Because you stand for truth, and this is how you find support for the Tibetan cause. And it is this truth that we are all fighting for. In this process, the struggle for an independent Tibet that we are undergoing, the struggle for a free Tibet that we are fighting for. And therefore I once again want to say and thank SIO for inviting me here, for honoring the Tibetan struggle, for respecting, for recognizing the Tibetan freedom struggle. I'm very, very thankful that there is this recognition. Now I want all our Muslim brothers and sisters over here to join me for the call for a free Tibet. And I want you to say with me, free Tibet! Free Tibet! Free Tibet! Free Tibet! Inshallah, there will be free Tibet.